2 million years ago, the world was unforgiving. Humans were fragile, weak, fighting every day just to survive. But in the shadows of the jungle lurked a monster, a predator with fangs like swords, the Saber-Tooth Cat, Smilodon. For the first time in history, humans were forced to make a choice: run from fear or fight for survival. This is the story of that battle, the moment when humanity stood against the wild and proved that unity could conquer even the fiercest beast.
The world, 2 million years ago, was a place of both wonder and fear. Vast forests and endless savannas stretched across the land. Towering trees rose high, their branches forming a canopy where sunlight filtered through like golden rivers. Beneath this beauty, danger lurked in every shadow. Among the most feared of predators was a creature unlike any other, the Smilodon, the Saber-Tooth Cat. It was not just a hunter, it was a legend whispered around fires, a phantom that moved with silent steps and struck with deadly precision. Its long, curved fangs glistened whenever the light caught them, like blades carved for the sole purpose of piercing flesh. Even the bravest hunters among the early humans felt a chill whenever they found its tracks imprinted in the soft soil. A small tribe of early humans, no more than 20 in number, lived near the edge of a thick jungle. They were hunters, gatherers, and survivors. Fire was their greatest weapon, stone their closest ally. But against the Smilodon, even fires sometimes felt fragile. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, the tribe prepared for the night. Women and children gathered near a circle of stones where flames danced and crackled. The men returned from hunting with nothing more than a few roots and berries. Game was scarce. Prey animals had vanished from the area, as if something had driven them away. The leader of the tribe, a tall man with deep scars across his chest, looked into the jungle. His eyes were sharp, scanning the shadows. He had seen the signs: broken branches, claw marks on tree trunks, and the faint scent of a predator that carried on the wind. He knew what it meant. Whispers spread among the people. Deadliest. Shadowfang. The beast with the teeth of knives. Some believed it was more than an animal, perhaps a spirit sent from the gods to test them. The children clung closer to their mothers, and the men sharpened their spears with shaking hands. The night was quiet, too quiet. No chirping of crickets, no cries of owls, only the sound of the fire snapping in the still air. Then it came. From the dense jungle, 2 glowing eyes appeared, reflecting the firelight like twin stars of doom. Slowly, silently, the Smilodon emerged, its massive body rippled with muscle, its shoulders towering above the grass. Each step was measured, heavy, but soundless. The flames lit its fur in streaks of gold and shadow, and its long, curved fangs shone with a cold, merciless glimmer. The tribe froze. Every heartbeat seemed louder than the crackling of the fire. Children hid their faces, and hunters gripped their spears tighter. The Smilodon did not attack immediately. It simply stood there, watching, studying. Its golden eyes locked on the humans, unblinking. The beast's chest rose and fell with deep, steady breaths. It was a predator in no hurry, for it knew the night belonged to it. The leader stepped forward, raising a torch high. Firelight danced across his face as he shouted, hoping to scare the beast away. For a moment, the Smilodon blinked, its ears twitching. Then, with a low, rumbling growl that shook the air, it stepped closer. Panic rippled through the tribe. Some wanted to flee into the dark, others wanted to throw their spears, but Alida raised his hand. Not yet. He knew that one mistake, one wrong move, could mean death for all of them. The beast circled the camp, slow and deliberate. Its tail swayed, its muscles tense, ready to strike. The humans turned with it, their spears trembling but steady. Sparks from the fire rose into the air, floating like dying stars, as the silent dance of predator and prey continued. Minutes passed, though they felt like hours. Finally, the Smilodon let out a sharp, bone-shaking roar. The sound echoed through the jungle, sending birds fleeing from the trees and chilling every soul by the fire. Children cried, women whispered prayers, and even the strongest hunters felt their knees weaken. But then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the Smilodon turned back into the jungle. Its eyes vanished into the blackness, swallowed by the night. Silence returned, heavier than before. The tribe exhaled as one, relief flooding their faces. But the leader did not relax. He knew the truth. This was not the end. It was only the beginning. The Smilodon had tested them, measured their fear, and it would return. That night, no one slept. Mothers clutched their children close. Hunters sat with spears in their hands, and the fire was fed again and again until it roared like the sun itself. Still, every rustle in the jungle, every snap of a twig, made hearts race. The legend of the Shadow Fang had come alive, and the battle for survival had only just begun. The dawn came slowly over the jungle, painting the sky with streaks of orange and crimson. The tribe had not slept. Their eyes were red with exhaustion, their hands trembling from gripping spears all night. Yet, fear was not gone. It lingered, heavy as mist over the savannah. The leader, scarred and strong, stood at the edge of the clearing, scanning the tree line. He could still feel the weight of those golden eyes from the night before. The beast had not left. It was out there, waiting. To survive, the tribe needed food. Hunger gnawed at their stomachs, and children whimpered from weakness. With cautious determination, the hunters set out into the forest, leaving a few to guard the women, elders, and little ones. The jungle was alive again with morning sounds, birds calling, insects buzzing, leaves rustling in the breeze. Yet underneath the life, an unnatural stillness remained, as if the forest itself feared what moved within it. The hunters walked in silence, their bare feet pressing lightly on the earth. Each man carried a sharpened spear, the tips hardened with fire. Their eyes darted everywhere, searching for prey, but also for the shadow that stalked them. After hours of searching, they finally spotted movement in the distance. A herd of deer-like antelopes grazed near a clearing, their slender necks dipping to feed. Relief washed over the men, food for their starving tribe. Slowly, they fanned out, crouching low, preparing to strike. The leader signaled. Spears lifted, breath held, muscles tensed. But before they could attack, the herd suddenly, the ground shook as dozens of hooves thundered across the clearing. Something had startled them, something more terrifying than human hunters. The men froze. From the opposite side of the clearing, shadows shifted, and then it appeared. The Smilodon. It moved with terrifying grace, its massive body leaping from the brush. In an instant, it pounced on one of the fleeing antelopes, its weight crashing the animal to the ground. The beast's fangs sank deep, and with a violent shake, silence fell over the prey. The hunters stood paralyzed. They had seen lions before, even fought them. But this was different. The Smilodon was larger, stronger, its jaws built for a single-purpose killing. Its curved fangs gleamed like the blades of gods. The leader gestured for retreat, but it was too late. The Smilodon raised its head, blood glistening on its mouth, and its golden eyes fixed directly on them. The world stopped. With a thunderous roar, the predator left its kill and charged. The ground trembled as it closed the distance, faster than the hunters believed possible. Panic erupted. "Run!" the leader shouted. The men scattered, their spears clutched tight as they dashed through the trees. Branches snapped, birds scattered, and the air filled with shouts and roars. One young hunter stumbled. Before he could rise, the Smilodon was upon him. Its massive paw struck, sending him tumbling like a rag doll. The beast loomed over him, jaws opening wide. The leader reacted. With a desperate cry, he hurled his spear. The sharpened tip struck the Smilodon's shoulder, not deep enough to kill, but enough to shock the beast. It snarled, whipping its massive head toward the leader. "Over, Ere!" he shouted, waving his arms, trying to draw its fury away from the fallen hunter. His heart pounded, but his eyes held steady. The Smilodon roared again, then charged him instead. Each step was thunder. Each breath was fire. The leader braced his spear, planting the shaft against the ground. The tip angled toward the oncoming beast. The impact came like a storm. The Smilodon lunged, its chest slamming into the spear. The wood groaned. The leader's arm shook, but the weapon held. The point pierced into the beast's flesh. Not deep enough to stop it, but enough to wound. The Smilodon shrieked in fury, rearing back. Its paw lashed out, shattering the spear like a twig. The leader was thrown back, crashing into the dirt, his chest burning with pain. For a heartbeat, the predator stood over him, its massive head lowering, its fangs glinting inches from his face. He could smell its breath, hot, sharp, primal. Then, a chorus of cries filled the air. The hunters returned, spears flying. Wooden shafts struck the beast's hind-arms, flanks, shoulders. None were fatal, but they stung, they pierced, they forced the predator to stumble back. The Smilodon hissed, its eyes blazing with rage. It snarled at the group, then turned and bounded back into the jungle, vanishing into the shadows as quickly as it had come. The hunters rushed to their leader, helping him to his feet. His chest was bruised, his body aching, but he was alive. The young man who had fallen was shaken but breathing. They had survived, but only just. The forest grew quiet again, the silence heavy. The leader looked into the trees, his eyes dark. "It will come again," he whispered. "It has tasted our fear. It will not stop." And in his heart, he knew this was true. The Smilodon had claimed this jungle as its domain. To survive here, the humans would need more than courage. They would need fire, strategy, and above all unity. The first battle had ended. The war for survival had begun. The jungle had grown restless. The tribe knew that the Smilodon was not gone. It was hunting them, circling closer each day. Its roars echoed at night, deep and haunting, shaking the very air. Mothers hushed their children, and men sat awake, sharpening spears by the fire. Sleep was no longer a comfort, it was a risk. The leader, his shoulders still sore from the last encounter, gathered the tribe at dawn. The fire burned low, casting long shadows across their tired faces. "We cannot run," he sighed firmly, his voice carrying authority. "If we flee, it will follow. If we hide, it will find us. We must fight together." His words stirred a mixture of fear and determination. These were not just hunters, they were survivors. And now, they faced the most dangerous test of their lives. The plan was simple, but desperate. They would build traps, sharpen more spears, and use fire as their shield. The jungle itself would become their weapon. By midday, the tribe spread out across a clearing near the river. They dragged fallen logs into place, dug shallow pits, and tied vines between trees. Every man, woman, and even older children worked, sweat glistening on their brows. Each knot, each spear sharpened, was a prayer for survival. The leader watched them, pride stirring in his chest. These people were more than prey. They were learning to think, to adapt, to fight not with strength alone, but with unity. But the Smilodon was watching too. High on a ridge, the predator crouched among the trees, golden eyes fixed on the humans. Its muscles twitched with anticipation. Its fangs gleamed as it licked its jaws. It had lost its first chance, but now the prey was distracted, vulnerable. This was the moment it had been waiting for. The sun dipped low, painting the clearing in hues of red and gold. The hunters set the final traps. The fire crackled high, and for a fleeting moment, the tribe felt secure. Then the jungle fell silent. Every bird, every insect, every rustle ceased. The air grew heavy. The leader's heart quickened. He knew that silence. "Prepare," he shouted. The words had barely left his lips when it happened. With an explosion of power, the Smilodon leaped from the ridge, crashing into the clearing. Its roar split the air, a sound so primal it froze blood in veins. The ground shook beneath its massive paws as it landed among them. Panic erupted. Women screamed, children darted for cover, and hunters raised their spears. The predator's eyes blazed, its body a blur of muscle and fury. It struck first, swiping with a paw the size of a shield. A hunter was thrown aside, his spear clattering to the ground. Another thrust his weapon forward, but the Smilodon twisted, snapping the shaft in its jaws like dry wood. The leader shouted, "To the fire! Hold the line!" The hunters rallied, forming a half-circle around the flames. Spears glinted, torches blazed, and their cries rose in defiance. The beast circled them, growling, its tail whipping. Every muscle in its body was coiled like a spring. Then it lunget. This time, the traps were ready. Its massive paw slammed into the ground and the earth gave way. With a thunderous crash, the Smilodon tumbled into a pit lined with sharpened stakes. The beast roared, writhing, as the tribe surged forward with spears and fire. But it was not over. With a furious heave, the predator leapt from the pit, bleeding but alive, more enraged than ever. It landed in the center of the clearing, its roar shaking the trees. The tribe staggered back, fear flashing in their eyes. The leader stood firm. He seized a burning torch and thrust it high, shouting, "We are not prey." Together, inspired, the hunters charged. Spears flew, flames crackled, voices roared as one. The Smilodon struck back, slashing, snapping, its fury unmatched. Yet the humans pressed closer, their numbers in unity, driving it back, step by step. For the first time, the predator hesitated. Its golden eyes flickered with uncertainty. These prey did not scatter like deer. They fought like wolves. With a final defiant roar, the Smilodon turned and bounded into the jungle, vanishing into the shadows once again. Silence fell broken only by the crackle of fire and the heavy breathing of the tribe. The clearing bore the marks of battle-broken spears, torn earth, trampled grass, but the humans still stood. The leader raised his torch high, his voice steady despite exhaustion. "It will return," he said, "but so will we. Each time it comes, we will grow stronger. We will not fall." And in the eyes of the tribe, something new burned, not just fear, but hope. They had faced the Shadow Fang again and lived, and now, for the first time, they believed they could win. The night was heavy with tension. Clouds covered the moon, and the jungle lay in near darkness. Only the tribe's fire glowed in the clearing, its flames dancing and crackling, casting long shadows across the faces of the weary humans. They knew the Smilodon would come again, wounded, furious, and relentless. The beast would not stop until either it tore or they fell. The leader stood tall by the fire, gripping his torch. Around him, hunters formed a circle, spears sharpened and ready. Women and children huddled closer to the flames, whispering prayers to the spirits of the night. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the steady crackle of wood and the pounding of anxious hearts. Then, faintly at first, came the sound. A low growl. It rumbled through the trees, deep and guttural, vibrating the earth beneath their feet. The firelight flickered as if the jungle itself shuddered. Eyes widened, breaths caught, and the children clung tighter to their mothers. From the shadows, the Smilodon appeared. Its golden eyes glowed like molten fire. Its massive body stalked slowly into the clearing, muscles rippling, fangs glistening like blades of ivory. Despite the wounds from the last battle, it moved with terrifying power, each step deliberate, confident. This was no ordinary predator. It was the jungle's king, and it had come to reclaim its throne. The tribe tensed, spears lifted, torches flared. The Smilodon roared. The sound shattered the night, echoing across the trees like thunder. Birds erupted into the air. Monkeys shrieked in panic, and the humans' very bones trembled. Yet the hunters held their ground, their voices rising in a cry of defiance. The clash began. With lightning speed, the Smilodon lunged at the circle of hunters. Spears hobbled, torches swung, and flames roared as men shouted in unison. One hunter thrust forward, grazing the beast's flank. Another hurled his spear, striking the Smilodon's shoulder. The predator snarled, rearing back, its paw swiping with terrifying force. A spear shattered. A man was thrown to the ground. The leader charged forward, torch blazing. He swung the fire at the Smilodon's face, forcing it back. The beast roared, retreating a step, but its eyes burned with rage. In an instant, it countered, lunging at him with jaws wide. The leader barely dodged, rolling to the ground as the Smilodon's fangs sank into the earth where he had stood. Chaos erupted. The tribe swarmed, shouting, striking, circling the beast from all sides. Spears stabbed, torches flashed, vines snapped underfoot. The Smilodon spun, slashing and snarling, its tail whipping, its power unstoppable. Yet the humans moved as one, their courage unshaken. Then, the plan unfolded. Hunters lured the beast toward the traps they had prepared earlier. Logs, sharpened to points, vines woven into snares. As the Smilodon lunged at one man, another darted behind, driving it closer to the deadly maze. Step by step, strike by strike, they pushed it into the heart of their design. With a roar of fury, the Smilodon stepped onto the woven vines. The trap tightened, pulling its massive paw off balance. In that instant, hunters struck from all. The jungle was silent. For the first time in many nights, there was no roar echoing through the trees, no golden eyes watching from the shadows. The Smilodon lay still, its reign ended. The tribe stood around the fallen predator, their faces lit by firelight, their hearts heavy with both fear and pride. They had done what no other creature dared. They had faced the shadow fan, the terror of the forest, and survived. But more than survival, they had achieved something greater. They had fought not as individuals, but as one. The leader raised his torch high, its flames bright against the dark canopy. "Tonight," he declared, his voice steady and proud, "we proved we are more than prey. We are strong, because we are together. The jungle will know our name." The hunters roared in agreement, their voices echoing through the trees. Women wept tears of relief, and children, who had once trembled in fear, now looked upon the fire with wide eyes filled with hope. The fire that night was not just warmth. It was a symbol, a shield, a weapon, a promise. In the following days, the tribe transformed. Where once fear ruled, now determination grew. Hunters returned to the clearing where the Smilodon had fallen. They carved its massive fangs, not as trophies of arrogance, but as symbols of courage. Spears were tipped with sharpened bone, necklaces were made for the warriors, and the children touched the fangs in awe. Learning the story of the night their people stood against the predator of shadows. But more important than the fangs was the lesson. They had seen what unity could achieve. Alone, they would have fallen. Together, they had prevailed. From that day, the tribe worked as one. Hunters moved in coordinated groups. Gatherers sang songs to guide one another. Fires were built stronger, with guards posted at night. Every man, woman, and child played a role in survival. The jungle was still dangerous. There were wolves that howled in the night, giant bears that roamed the rivers, and serpents that slithered in silence. Yet the tribe no longer trembled. They watched, they learned, they adapted. The Smilodon had taught them this. Strength was not only in claws and teeth, it was in mind, in spirit, in unity. One morning, as the sun broke through the canopy, painting the jungle in gold, the leader gathered the tribe at the riverbank. The water shimmered, fish darting beneath the surface, birds singing from the trees. For the first time in many seasons, the tribe looked at the world with new eyes. "This river feeds us," the leader said. "This fire protects us. These spears defend us. We are not just surviving anymore, we are shaping our future." The words carried power. They were not commands. They were visions. The tribe began to see themselves not just as wanderers, but as people with a destiny. The children laughed as they played near the water. Hunters sharpened their tools with focus. Women wove baskets and shared food around the fire. It was more than survival, it was the birth of something greater, community. That night, as the fire crackled and the tribe sat in a circle, the elder raised his voice. His hair was silver, his eyes deep with memory. He spoke of the spirits of the jungle, of how the Saber-Tooth had been a test. "The spirit sent us the shadow fang," he said, "to see if we could rise above fear. And we did. We stood as one. From this night forward, we walk a new path, the path of humans. The tribe listened, their eyes wide, their hearts filled with wonder. They believed his words, because they felt them. The Smilodon had not just been inanimate, had been a challenge, one that had forced them to discover who they truly were. The elder cast herbs into the fire, sending sparks into the night sky. Our story has just begun, he said. The jungle is vast, and its trials will be many. But we are ready. We are no longer shadows. We are the flame. Seasons passed. The story of the great battle spread beyond the tribe. Other groups of humans who wandered near heard the tale of the people who had slain the Saber. They came to see the tribe, to learn their ways. Slowly, the tribe grew. New families joined, new hands carried spears, and new voices sang songs of unity. Together, they built stronger shelters, larger fires, and safer grounds. The saber-tooth fangs were placed in the center of the camp, standing tall like pillars of memory. Every child was told the story. Every hunter was reminded of it before leaving for the forest. It became more than history, it became legend. And in that legend, courage was passed down, generation after generation. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the trees and the fire's glow rose again, the leader stood before his people. He was older now, his body scarred from battles, but his spirit remained fierce. He looked at the tribe, the men with strong arms, the women with steady hands, the children with bright eyes, and he saw something new, a future. The saber-tooth ruled the